Okay, this weekend, Liverpool play Wolves at Anfield, and I'm very fortunate that I've got Dave Azzopardi from the Talking Wolves podcast. Hello, Dave. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, mate. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate
No,
it.
no worries,
Just
no
gonna have a
worries.
little chat through and see, find out from you how Wolves have been doing and what you expect for the game. So you're seventh in the table, 2 points behind third, and in your last game with Arsenal at the Emirates, you won 2-1. Before that, you drew with Southampton 1-1 after coming from behind. So, with that in mind, obviously that's a good result against Arsenal. How do you see that your season has progressed?
It's been a strange one, really. I think nobody really knew what to expect. The preseason for Wolves was just so broken. We had less than a week really before the Premier League season as a team, because obviously we got because we were in Europe, we started pre-season late, and then they had the international break right before the start of the season. So as an actual squad, we probably had less than a week to prepare. We kicked off the season with a win against Sheffield United, and I think all the Wolves fans were rubbing their hands together, thinking, "Come on, then let's see what the season's going to be like." But yeah, I mean, we've had good games and bad games. I think at start of the season, after that Sheffield United game, we had two consecutive losses, which was to City and then West Ham, which was quite a heavy defeat. But we've bounced back fairly well. We've got a couple of good performances, but obviously most recently we switched to a back four and managed to get that win against Arsenal, which I think was a huge 3 points for us. But everyone's beating everyone at the moment. No one, I don't think anyone in the league has picked up that bit of consistency yet. So there's a long way to go, but I think we're in a decent position to get another good finish this season.
Completely. Funny, I read that article on The Athletic. Is it Tim Spires, is it?
Yeah.
Read an article today about Connor Cody
Yeah.
playing in a back four, and I think Gareth Southgate had said, "Oh, we're not sure about him playing in a back four, so he's playing back two." And I was going to ask you about Connor Cody, obviously, because he's a Scouser. So, how do you assess his performances from Wolves from when he came in to now?
Yeah, obviously he signed at the time as a central midfielder. It was just a bit casting our minds back. It was a bit of a poor Wolves squad back then, a very much mid-table Championship side. Really, I think he had that first season he was in and out the squad as a central midfielder. The year after he got shifted out to right back, and then obviously Nuno came in, and Nuno I think straight away just said, right, you're going to be my sweeper, middle of a back five. And at the time, I think everyone was excited for it. But in the back of everyone's heads, I think we knew once we got promoted, Connor Cody would probably be one of those players that were going to be replaced. Because I don't think he's not, no disrespect to him. He's not one of those, at the time, he wasn't one of those attractive players like your Ruben Neves is and so on at the time. But, you know, him and Ryan Bennett was the same, really. That first year in the Premier League, they were both amazing. Cody's kept his place, and I think his leadership skills and everything have just been, he's been a fantastic player in this squad. And yeah, there were question marks over him defensively. I think he is a good defender. His passing range is phenomenal, and he played really, really well in a back four again on Monday. So I think there's a lot of work to do, and he's got a lot more to prove in a back four. But he's definitely going the right way to becoming more of an England regular anyway.
It's funny with football fans, isn't it? It's they'll have an opinion until they see something that changes that opinion. And do you think there was a large swathe of Wolves fans who thought we can't play a back four because Cody just can't play in that system
Yeah, I think
until
that was
they've seen it?
yeah. I think that was a big thing because Nuno, ever since he joined, just over 3 years ago, has always played a back five every game.
Mhm.
So when Cody had to self-isolate a couple of weeks ago, wasn't fit for the game against Southampton, and Nuno switched that, everyone was really, really surprised. And we had, we were okay in that game. There were a couple of defensive errors and so on, but going forward, we looked a lot better. And I think that's what everyone was excited for, because the past few months we haven't looked great going forward, really. We'd see out games, might nick a goal and win a couple of games like you've seen, but we weren't beating teams convincingly. So I think everyone was excited to see a back four, but that was the next question, right? Well, if we're playing a back four, where's Cody going to fit into it? Because I think we all knew he wasn't a proper natural centre back. But he came in and played really, really well against Arsenal. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, he can continue playing well there, because I think that's perfect for Gareth Southgate. I think Southgate, as England manager, wants Cody around because of his leadership. But I think in the back of Southgate's mind as well is, I can't really risk him in a back four.
Mm.
But if he can carry on playing like he has been and suits a back four well, I think he's going to be a definite in the England squad for the foreseeable.
And who for Liverpool fans, what players that should we be looking out for in your team when you play? You've got some exciting front players, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. I'd probably say Pedro Neto now. I tend to say Jimenez, but obviously, unfortunately, with the injury, he's not going to be a part of the game. So the lad that's impressed, I think, everybody the most is Pedro Neto, young lad that came in from Portugal at the start of last season. We're sort of in and out the squad last season because I think the main front three was probably throughout the majority of the season was Jota, Adama, and Jimenez. But Neto's broken into this team this season, and he's been really, really good, just really consistent. Very similar to Jota in the fact that he's just really powerful with the ball, so difficult to get the ball off him. But now he's adding goals to his game. That was what he didn't have in his game last season. He's adding goals. And against Arsenal, from first minute to last, he was unbelievable, just a handful. Yeah. Bellerin just couldn't cope with him. So, yeah, the one player really I think Liverpool need to watch out for is Pedro Neto.
And you mentioned him there, and I wanted to get your thoughts because in the summer, when we signed Diogo Jota, I spent a lot of time listening to Wolves fans, and I must admit, not many people were that sorry to see him go. They were saying he's a good player, but it's time for us to move him on. There was a lot of that going on, and we've just seen some incredible form for him. Has that surprised you?
Yeah, I think at the time, I think it was a good deal for both teams. And I think a lot of people have said that because when we sold him, he was because of poor form towards the end of last season, he sort of dropped down the Wolves pecking order slightly. So in terms of wingers, he was behind Podence, Neto and Adama. So he was almost our fourth choice winger. So when a deal came in for about £45 million overall, I think that was a good business for Wolves. But at the same time, I think every Wolves fan knew if Jota did put his mind to it and on form, his potential is sky high. So I think Liverpool almost, 45 million was a good investment as well for a player of that potential. He just blew hot and cold too much last season for Wolves, Jota. He started off really slow in the season, had a bit of a purple patch in the Europa League and stuff, scored a couple of hat tricks in the Europa League, got a goal or two at Spurs as well. And then obviously lockdown hit, and then I think he did get a goal after the restart, to be fair, but he's really, really poor. So, yeah, I think it was a shame because, he was our top goal scorer in the championship season, scored some really, really almost iconic goals for Wolves now. But yeah, the way he's kicked on for Liverpool, every time Jota scores, you just look at Twitter, it's just full of Wolves fans complaining. So, but yeah, it's a great start for him. But yeah, he was a player that, I really, really enjoyed watching at Wolves. So it is good to see him doing well elsewhere.
We've for just to give you a bit of feedback, I think we're all very surprised.
Yeah.
We were excited because he looks like a Liverpool player. He looks like a Klopp forward player completely. And, we weren't sure what we were sort of getting, I suppose. We knew he was fairly quick. We knew he had a bit of skill. We knew he had a goal on him. But I think, the amount of goals he scored for us has been a big surprise for everyone. But, it's been brilliant. We've absolutely loved it. So I won't keep you much longer, Dave. What score do you think it's going to be? Give us a prediction.
Oh, it is going to be a tough game. I'm feeling fairly positive to it, only because obviously we've hit an okay bit of form, and obviously with the injuries at Liverpool at the moment, I think this is, fingers crossed, one of the best times to play Liverpool, especially at Anfield. So I always like to back Wolves. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Wolves win, but I think it's going to be a really tight game. It could go either way, but yeah, it's going to be really, really tricky. Some good players for both teams, and I think it's whoever gets the first goal, I think is going to have a good time in this match. It'll be interesting.
Great. Well, listen, Dave, thank you very much for your time,
My
mate.
pleasure.
And good luck with Talking Wolves.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
I hope you don't have any luck on Sunday, obviously, but thanks very much for chatting to us here.
No
Cheers.
problem. My pleasure. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.